Hey there, Team 3DMJ Coach Brad Loomis, and going to do a bit of a review on some squat shoes, or what's otherwise known as Olympic lifting shoes for you guys this evening. Kind of a bit of a craze over the last year or two on the effectiveness of Olympic lifting shoes for people's squats and being able to improve certain movement problems and overall just help people be able to lift heavier weight, which is kind of what we're always after. So me myself, I'm a little bit more old school, and so I don't really jump on the wagon when it comes to the latest workout, latest supplement, latest craze. I'm always a little bit slow to be the follower. So I've just been sticking to my good old Chucks, been lifting in these for probably about 7 or 8 years. Always work good, been injury free, keep progressing. So if it's not broke, why fix it? And which is kind of a motto of mine. I say that quite a bit. But in any case, the last workout that I filmed, made a video on it, and notice my heels are coming up. And thought, well, you know what? I don't really know why that's happening. Never really happened before. I did adjust my technique a little bit, so maybe that had something to do with it. But nonetheless, thought, you know what? Maybe now's a good time to give it a try. That Olympic lifting shoe has a bit of a heel on it anyway. And so, go ahead, maybe I'll give it a try. So, got some real good footage of a workout down in Sacramento. Was with Coach Alberto Nunez, and so he was kind enough to let me, kind of beta test his Olympic shoes. I believe they're called Nike Romellos. I think that's how you say it. And got a good workout in with those. So I got some great footage. Going to show that to you, kind of go over what I was thinking, what I was looking for, and then ultimately, hopefully, you'll find some good value from this in whether or not you're looking to purchase some Olympic lifting shoes. So when the workout is done, I'm going to kind of go over how I plan, and if I plan, on attaining a set of Olympic lifting shoes and how I go about doing that, since they are kind of spendy and I'm a tightwad at heart. But nonetheless, go over my plan for that, kind of give a summary, and then hopefully you'll find benefit from this if you're deciding to make the switch to Olympic lifting shoes. So I hope you enjoy this.
This is footage from a couple workouts ago at Healthy Bodies, and this is the same footage that I used for my video on using RPEs. And especially on this rep here, it's subtle, but if you look at my right heel, it obviously goes up and then comes back down again. So this is a slow motion. Watch that right heel. It's pretty obvious. It goes right back down. So what goes up has to come back down. So here's my way of fixing that. These are a pair of Nike Romello Olympic lifting shoes. As you can plainly see, the heel is elevated roughly an inch, inch and a half. And then the other thing that really surprised me was how rock hard this sole was. It's flat straight and it's hard, so very little flexibility, hopefully eliminating even more so the need for my heels to come up, or the tendency for my heels to come up. So this is footage from a workout in Sacramento where Coach Alberto Nunez was kind enough to let me borrow his the very same Nike Romellos. And I'm sorry that's better, but this is just to feel out my squat. How does it look? It's a lightweight, very pedestrian. Does everything look normal and look like a squat? And I felt it did, so I moved on. Put some more weight on the bar and wanted to see, what are my feet doing? Are my feet stable? How'd the squat look? This is what my coach had to say.
Oh, Brad, you look phenomenal with that squat.
That looks really good.
So Coach Nunez is happy. Melissa's happy. I'm happy. Let's move on. Went ahead and finished this setup. Feet nice and stable. Don't see too much moving. Squat looks good. Went ahead and decided, well, let's go ahead and throw some more weight on the bar, get some more footage. So bumped it up to 3 plates on each side, so 315, a little bit heavier. You can see a little bit of instability there, but still not bad. Pretty happy with how these look. Stable, hips are open.
Depth looks good, and overall, I was pleased. It felt good. I felt confident. Weight and put more on.
Your Star Trek shirt on.
So this angle here, I wanted to see, was my depth indeed good? From the front, it's just like when you're judging a powerlifting meet. From the front, depth always looks good. It's really the ones from the side, those judges from the side, that really kind of decide, is that deep enough? So that's kind of what this angle is for. Was I hitting at least, parallel? Looking at it here, that's to me a passable squat in a powerlifting meet. So I was pretty pleased. So time to put something heavy on. For me, this is heavy. This is 90% of my max squat. So felt comfortable enough to do something heavy and really try for something, that was pretty darn hard for me. Thing that really surprised me is how well I could hip drive. I mean, I was kind of leery. I was afraid that, that my knees would want to drift forward. But as I slow this down, you can see I was driving with my hips as hard as I could, and it was very stable. Really, no problems with falling backward, taking a step backward at all.
I'm not going to be able to tell until I get at least 3 plates on it, but
It looks good.
And not just 3 plates, but 3 plates and tired. So that was my goal here. Let's back the weight off, and let's just hammer reps until I am really pooped and see if things really start to break down. And as I did this set, I stuck Coach Berto back there for, kind of peace of mind, and really just pushed until I felt like I only had 1 left in the tank. And as these start getting tough, you can see my form is holding up pretty good. And again, I was surprised how stable I felt, especially on that last rep when it was hard. As I slow that rep down, no problem with putting more strain on the knees, driving hard with the hips, no problem with falling backward or forward. Really very, very pleased with the feel of that squat.
So as you could probably tell, I am pretty sold. I am going to try and acquire me some Olympic lifting shoes. I was really happy with the workout. I was really happy with how they felt. And one thing that really surprised me is how good my knees felt. Not only during the workout, but then for weeks afterward, because it's been about a little over a week since that workout. So I was really pleased, and nonetheless, surprised, but pleased. And I pretty much made my mind up. I'm gonna get me a pair. So where do I go from here? Well, me being a tightwad, I found out that a brand new pair of Nike Ramelos I'm not going to be able to get. I mean, technically I could, but I am just not willing to pay over $200 for a pair of shoes that I'll be wearing, basically 3 times a week when I squat. Sorry guys, I guess I'm just not that hardcore. You'll have to forgive me. But nonetheless, not going to go that route. So I went on eBay and found a lot of good deals out there. One thing that really surprised me is squat shoes, Olympic lifting shoes, are nothing new. I found some ancient pair of Olympic lifting shoes out there, for very reasonable prices. I'm not going to go that route, but nonetheless, there's some good deals out there. I found an all black pair of Nike Ramelos that, or I think the starting bid was like $90. So you could probably get those for under $200. But, just like I always said, you kind of open those doors and God makes things happen. So I just kind of put out there that I was making this video and that I had a little bit of an interest, and wouldn't you know it, I got about 3 or 4 offers, I guess you might say, for lack of a better chance, from Team 3DMJers and saying, hey coach, I got a pair of squat shoes, what size you looking for, et cetera, et cetera. And one thing led to another, and right now as we speak, there's a pair of Olympic shoes on their way to me that I'm going to test out that are my size, and then we'll talk about price later. So that's what's going to happen from here. So I'll be hopefully squatting in those this weekend when I'm over in Reno working and continuing my test. But at this point, I would say if you're finding that you're having some issues with your squat, your knees are going together, you got that knee valgus going, your heels are coming up a little bit, I'd say give them a try. I would highly recommend it, because like I said, I was really surprised at how good my squat felt. And with that being said, if your squat is progressing and you're not having any issues, like I said at the beginning of the video, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Just keep squatting in what you're squatting in.
The only thing I would highly recommend you get out of is a pair of the traditional tennis shoes, Nike cross trainers, if that's what you're squatting in right now, because that's simply an injury waiting to happen. But if you're squatting in a good, sensible shoe that's got a flat surface and something that is safe, I don't see a need to make that investment. But like I said, with me, I had an issue arise, and this was kind of my way of fixing it. And I really feel like I'm gonna surpass, the levels that I was at before I started using the Olympic lifting shoes. So that's my opinion. Brand, I don't really have much experience, so I really couldn't tell you. That the brand that I've got coming are called Ristos, I believe, R-I-S-T-O-S. So I'm going to give those a try. There's the Adidas Adapower, I want to say, that I've seen some 3DMJers wear. I can just tell you that I'm a traditionalist, and I am not wearing anything bright yellow or bright red. The ones I've got coming are just black and white. So with that being said, I hope you guys found this useful and use this information. And until next time, Brad Loomis with Team 3DMJ, and keep training hard, keep training naturally. Thanks a lot, you guys.